Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a story that honestly plays out like a modern corporate thriller. We're looking at America's fastest growing AI company, a total darling of the tech world that promised to completely revolutionize how we work. But behind the stunning dashboards and the skyrocketing valuation was a massive, incredibly well-kept secret. So let's just dive right into this. Imagine for a second logging into a revolutionary new platform. The website is sleek, the CEO is a visionary, investors are just throwing millions at it, and big corporations are signing massive contracts. It's being hailed as the absolute future of work. But what if I told you that the incredible, lightning-fast artificial intelligence they were selling didn't actually exist? See, customers were sold this incredibly futuristic promise, processed by NeuroCore AI. But the grim truth was entirely different. It was actually processed by Samuel Ortiz. Samuel wasn't a machine. He was a 29-year-old guy working at 1:26 in the morning in a windowless office under a warehouse in Nevada. He was exhausted, eating vending machine snacks, and just trying to pay his mother's hospital bills. Samuel and over 200 other underpaid workers were the actual artificial intelligence. Part 1, Selling the AI Dream, and the architect of a $2 billion lie. Let's head from that Nevada basement to the penthouses of Austin, Texas, to meet the architect of this illusion, CEO Jason Reed.
Jason's career wasn't exactly built on engineering genius. Honestly, he was an opportunist. He bounced around from productivity coaching to crypto newsletters to a failed email app, and his catchphrase for every single failure was always the same: "Bro, I was just early." But Jason knew exactly how to ride a trend, and when the whole AI panic hit, he capitalized on it. He didn't even have a product. He actually used a designer from Fiverr to create this fake, heavily animated demo video that made it look like his new company, NeuroCore AI, could read and analyze messy invoices in seconds. It was entirely fake. But investors don't inspect code, they inspect stories.
And his pitch? Brilliantly manipulative. He'd say, "We don't replace companies. We replace the busy work inside them." Jason promised executives a 70% reduction in costs. By calling it busy work, he was essentially offering a guilt-free way to execute massive layoffs without ever actually having to say the word layoffs. And executives? They absolutely loved it. The growth was explosive. Within 2 years, Jason raised a staggering $400 million. He was standing on stages in his black jeans and white sneakers, buying lakefront houses in Austin, and NeuroCore hit an unbelievable $2 billion valuation. $2 billion. But then you have to look at this number, $18. That was the hourly wage of the exhausted humans sitting in basements who were actually powering this entire $2 billion empire. Part 2, the invisible workforce inside the machine. Now, you can't fake a company this size without bringing in some real engineers who genuinely think they are building the future. Enter Priya Shah. Priya was a brilliant machine learning engineer. She joined because she wanted to automate the kind of soul-crushing, repetitive tasks that had drained her own father for 30 years. But when she arrived, she saw their actual workflow. The AI was dangerously weak. It constantly made mistakes. When their first big client tested the system and it failed, Jason's team implemented a temporary fix of 10 human contractors to secretly do the work behind the scenes. But as you can probably guess, lies tend to collect interest. 10 contractors quickly became 40, then 100, spread globally, working 24/7. The reality of their daily tasks was just grueling. They weren't just casually clicking buttons. They had to read complex legal contracts with a 2-minute limit. They had to write financial summaries in 90 seconds, literally 90 seconds. Because if they were too slow, the customers would figure out it wasn't a machine. The pressure was immense, the pace was impossible, and workers were bound by these incredibly strict NDAs, completely forbidden from ever revealing that they were the true source of this AI. Eventually, Priya accidentally stumbled upon the internal operations data, and the truth was staggering. 72% of all tasks were being completed entirely by humans. She mathematically proved the fraud. But when she confronted Jason in his glass-walled office, he completely flipped it on her. He told her she would destroy 800 jobs and ruin families if she spoke up. He weaponized the truth to keep her quiet, and then swiftly placed her on administrative leave. Part 3, the breaking point and the $80 million catalyst. Look, every house of cards has a breaking point. And for NeuroCore, the catalyst that brought the whole thing crashing down was one massive, fateful deal. NeuroCore signed an $80 million contract with a major hospital company. But this wasn't just about reading invoices anymore.
The hospital actually wanted NeuroCore to analyze administrative workflows and recommend which employees could be fired and replaced by automation.
Which brings us right back to Samuel Ortiz in Nevada. Samuel opened a file and realized he was being asked to evaluate middle-aged hospital billing workers with families, basically people doing almost the exact same job he was doing. The visceral hypocrisy of the situation just hit him. He was looking at his own internal screen that said assigned to Samuel Ortiz, knowing full well that when he clicked submit, the hospital executives would see NeuroCore AI has completed your analysis, and then fire real people based on his manual labor. The guilt was overwhelming. So he took out a USB drive and saved the screenshots. Samuel sent those screenshots to tech journalist Mara Lewis with this incredibly powerful message. NeuroCore AI is fake. Humans are doing the work. I can prove it. And Mara didn't just run with it. She investigated. She found Priya, who corroborated the whole story. And she uncovered the NDAs that explicitly instructed workers to hide their existence from customers. Part 4. The House of Cards and the Collapse of NeuroCore. The investigation was complete, and what happened next was honestly one of the swiftest corporate meltdowns in tech history. The speed of the collapse was just breathtaking. At 8 a.m. on a Thursday, the article drops with the headline, "The $2 billion AI startup powered by humans in a basement." By 10 a.m., investors are panicking. By noon, fake AI is trending across the entire country, and by 2 p.m., Jason Reed, still wearing his expensive watch and white sneakers, walks into a deeply hostile all-hands meeting. Jason tried to use this line, "We are an AI company with human-in-the-loop quality support." Now, that is technically true terminology, but morally, it's entirely empty. He basically tried to spin the greatest fraud of his career as just a simple misunderstanding of how modern AI works. But then, from the back of the room, a tired voice spoke up. It was Samuel Ortiz, who had traveled all the way to Austin. He looked right at Jason and said, "No, we were the loop. You told customers the AI did the work, but we did, overnight, for $18 an hour." Employees immediately started filming. That single sentence completely dismantled Jason's lie and broke the company forever. Part 5. The real cost of hype and who really powers the future. Let's take a step back and look at the real cost of this entire situation, because the fallout wasn't just about a rich CEO losing his status. Within 2 weeks, Jason was ousted, and regulatory inquiries were opened up. But the workers like Samuel, they lost their incomes. The contractors lost their shifts. And Jason? Well, in his final public statement, he delusionally claimed he was just building toward the future faster than the present could understand. Meanwhile, the people who actually cared, like Priya, went on to start small, honest AI ethics firms. Samuel felt tremendous guilt about the people who lost their jobs when the company folded. But as Priya told him, "You didn't destroy the company, the lie did." AI is incredibly powerful and very real for sure, but NeuroCore failed because it sold a glamorous future while secretly exploiting invisible human labor. And it's a stark reminder that the whistleblowers always end up carrying the heaviest weight. Which leaves us with this final, lingering question to consider the next time you see a seemingly magical new tool. Are you buying technology or a performance? It's a reminder to always ask what is really happening behind the dashboard and who might be sitting in a windowless room somewhere making the magic happen. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I hope this changes how you view the shiny tech we use every single day.